What's cracking, G's? That's G as in gamer, that is. What was you thinking? Today's videos is going to be a new series I'm starting called RNS, where I'm going to tell you stories about things that happened to me in my life. Now, this one's going to be a little bit funny because this is like back in the day when I was in elementary school. So this is like a long time ago. Warning, if you were young and you're watching this, please do not do what I did. If my son is watching this, because my son watches my YouTube channel, don't be doing this shit. Don't be letting me hear you doing this shit. This is what happened when I was growing up, because I grew up in the 80s, okay? So there's no excuse for you to be doing that now, sir, and any of you other kids. Now, here's the story. The story starts like this. I grew up in this neighborhood where all that mattered was having street cred and street credibility and proving that you was down, and you know, if you didn't, people would like do things to like take your lunch money. They would take your games if you brought them to school. Hell, they would even like take the laces out your shoes and do all kinds of embarrassing things. Throw them on a pole and put them over the pole and have them hanging so that every day when you was walking to school, they could point to the shoes and laugh at you. Things like that. So with that being said, I grew up where it was either like you was going to be the one doing these things or you was going to have these things done to you. Now, I wasn't a bully, but I actually hated bullies. But the funny thing was, this one thing I thought about, I would share with you guys. It was hilarious. This is PS 178 in Brooklyn. That's the school I went to. So you guys can know and verify if you want to know like the area or whatever, because it was pretty rough. We would go to school, but we had this little gang we was a part of, and I'll get into that later, but right now I don't need to get into all that. But it was this gang we was a part of, and it's a famous gang in Brooklyn. And the way that we validated who was like the leader of the group was by who had the most patches. Now, for you young kids, the younger dudes who don't understand, I'm saying kids because I actually mean kids. I'm not that old, because I know when I say that, y'all be thinking, damn, how old is this dude? I'm not that old. Like I said, I grew up in the 80s. So it was funny because what we would do to measure who was the toughest person is we would see who had the most patches. And by patches, I mean, go back and listen to the Biggie record if you know who Notorious B.I.G. is. If you don't, you under a rock, of course. But he would say snatch and lead patches. We actually did that. We used to go to class, and whenever we got a chance, we would go to the bathroom and we would wait. And whoever came in there, because back in that time, for some reason, people wore Lees. I never really wore Lees. I always wore Levi's. I was a Levi's kind of guy. And I didn't really respect Lees anyway, so we used to kind of like crack on people who wore those to school. So if you had on Lees, what we did is we would wait in the stall, and when you came into the bathroom to use the bathroom, we would come up behind you, pause, no homo, and we would swipe your Lee patch off, like rip it off. And at the end of the day, we would meet in the back of the school and we would count who had the most Lee patches. And whoever had the most Lee patches was the person who was the leader. So we did this for like 3 years, man. I mean, we just had a competition where we was just snatching people's Lee patches and we would write our gang symbol on it. And alright, I'll just say what it was. We were a part of a gang called the Autobots, and it was a gang that we had formed from the Decepticons because we were too young to be Decepticons. So we were learning to be Decepticons, so we were the Autobots. You know, the cartoon, the Decepticons was always the gangsters. The Autobots was like little pussies, you know. So we was like the young squirt, young punks. So we couldn't be Decepticons yet. So we had that group, and we stole the Lee patches, and we actually did this until we had like, maybe, man, no lie, I probably had like 70 Lee patches, man. I apologize to some of you kids. I be seeing these kids now that we older, they be just looking at me like, yo, remember when you used to steal my Lee patches, man? And I'm like, yeah, man, I do, man, my bad. And I thought that was really hilarious. And the story I would tell, because we actually would go to class, and I had this my mom and pops was like, they didn't play. My pops was like, if he found out I was coming to school, man, he fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie to you. But the funny thing was, because he didn't even know about this. Like, my mom and pop never knew that I was doing this. Like, I would go to school, go to all my classes, and I would make every excuse in the book to get out of the class and go sit in the bathroom for a good hour just snatching Lee patches all fucking day, man. And it was funny because things are so different now. This is how we validated our credibility growing up, man. And I felt like, you know what, I would tell you that story because that was a really funny story. That's one of the things that I feel like I would share with you guys, man. It was hilarious, man, but we did that, man. We used to just sit there and do that shit, and at the end of the day, we would count how many patches we had. Whoever had the most patches was like the illest G ever. So I know that wasn't gay related, but it was a funny story. If you ever heard the Biggie song when he said snatching lead patches, that was what we was talking. That's what he's talking about. That's what we used to do in Brooklyn growing up in the 80s, man. That was just one of the stories I wanted to share with you guys. This is Jimmy B Gaming. I'm out. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Share it, like it, thumbs up, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what y'all do growing up and what you did if you are from the 80s growing up. What was you doing in your hood, in your town, in your city? This is Jimmy B Gaming, and I'm out.